9, this Tuesday, the 17th of September 2024. The calm before the vote. All election campaigns must cease within the next 24 hours, says the Election Commission. International election observers to be deployed island-wide for election monitoring activities. The last lap. Presidential candidates issue promises and scrutinize each other's policies as the campaigning period comes to an end. Permission for IPPs. Government awards contracts worth 21 megawatts to 7 developers as part of the procurement of 165 megawatts of solar power projects. How to vote. As the presidential race heats up, election authorities warn of the possible necessity for a second round of counting.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Sri Lanka's premier primetime English news bulletin, Derana First at 9. I'm Tarindu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and from around the world. Taking you straight away to your top story this evening, the two-day period of pre-election silence ahead of the 2024 presidential election will commence from midnight tomorrow. The Election Commission as well as election observers emphasise the importance of observing the pre-election silence on social media platforms. Meanwhile, international election observers from the Commonwealth Election Observer Group and the Asian Network for Free Elections engaged in discussions with the Election Commission prior to commencing election monitoring operations. All promotional activities for the 2024 presidential election are to cease at midnight tomorrow. The Election Commission and election observers highlighted the importance of observing the pre-election silence on social media platforms as well.
We request that during the pre-election silence, promotional activities be ceased on social media platforms as well. We have appointed several special teams to investigate unnecessary election promotional activities that are being conducted on social media platforms. We expect to remove unnecessary and illegal election promotional posts from social media platforms and discuss with the parent companies of the platforms to prevent the publication of such posts.
After midnight on the 18th, conducting election promotional activities will not be permitted. This applies to social media platforms as well. If you continue to promote candidates on social media platforms, disregarding the advice and directives of the Election Commission, that will be a black mark against their election to office. The reason for allocating 2 days free of election promotional activities before polling commences is to allow the people to make their choice of candidate free of outside influences. Therefore, we request that you refrain from engaging in election promotional activities unnecessarily during those 2 days.
In the meantime, a discussion took place earlier this morning at the offices of the Election Commission between the election regulatory body and international election observers from the Commonwealth Election Observer Group and the Asian Network for Free Elections. The international observers will deploy to various districts across the island tomorrow for election monitoring activities. Meanwhile, the Election Commission announced that the ballot boxes that will be utilised for polling in the presidential election have been dispatched to all returning officers across the island. The returning officers will deliver the ballot boxes to the polling stations on the 20th of September. In the meantime, the Postal Department announced that around 97% of the official polling cards for the election have been delivered to registered voters. Deputy Postmaster General Raj Derana stated that voters who did not receive their poll cards can obtain them from their local post office from tomorrow until election day after providing proof of identity.
Horizon Campus 2024 Intake 2. Register now.
කවුද ඔයා මෙච්චර ලස්සන්ට වෙනස් කළේ?
වෙනස් මනුස්සෙක්.
දිලිත් වෙනස් මනුස්සෙක්. රටක් වෙනස් කරන්නට තරුවෙන්.
Now, independent presidential candidate President Ranil Wickremesinghe requests the supporters of the Sri Lanka Potujana Peramuna to join hands with him to achieve a shared victory in the coming presidential election. Addressing a rally in Kuliapiti today, the president vowed to ease the cost of living within the next year and assured to bring the economy back to normalcy. Another rally supporting independent presidential candidate President Ranil Wickremesinghe was held in Kuliapiti today.
අද පළවෙනි වතාවට අපිට hina වුණ අපිට විහිළු කරපු අද වෙස්ටර්න් ඔටෝමොබයිල් ආයතනය ජනාධිපතිතුමා මෙතනට ආවේ ඒක විවෘත කරලා කියලා මම තමුන්නාසලට කියනවා.
අපිට විශේෂ දවසක් එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයට. ඒ තමයි ජේ.ආර්. ජයවර්ධන මහතුමාගේ උපන් දිනය.
Today is a special day for the United National Party as it marks the birth anniversary of the late President J.R. Jayawardena. We are celebrating this occasion because we are the UNP. The SJB is not celebrating because they are not the UNP. There is only one UNP in this country. I am requesting the support of our UNP supporters. I am also here following the opening of the Western Automobile Vehicle Assembly Plant, the largest facility in Southeast Asia for SKD vehicle assembly. Additionally, another 1,000 acres have been allocated in Bingiria for another project, highlighting the ongoing development in this region. This city is undergoing a significant renovation. That is why we affirm that Sri Lanka can succeed. While addressing UNP supporters, I also want to speak to the SLPP supporters. Remember the fear you felt in May 2022 when many were hesitant to voice their opinions. Some are still unsure about their vote. Let us move past these uncertainties and work together towards our shared victory.
අපි ඔක්කොම එකතු වෙලා සැප්තැම්බර් 21 වෙනිදා අපේ ජයග්‍රහණයට ක්‍රියා කරමු කියලා එන්න.
Meanwhile, another rally in support of President Ranil Wickremesinghe was held in Mannar today.
But a woman අවස්ථාවේදී එයා හිටියේ නැහැ.
All others were absent when you needed support the most. Now those who were not there are asking for power. Why should we vote for them? You bore the burden when I made the difficult decision to increase VAT. I acknowledge that, and that is why I am committed to restoring normalcy. Following the appreciation of the rupee, I have been able to provide some relief through price reductions. However, more needs to be done. I promise that by next year I will further alleviate the cost of living. For this, I require only one thing, a mandate to achieve it.
ඒ කරන්න එකයි ඕනේ. මට වරමක් දෙන්න ඒක කරන්න.
Meanwhile, presidential candidate of the Samagi Jana Sandhana, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, assured that an era of development will be provided for every village across the country following his election to the office of president. Addressing a rally, Premadasa further stated that the livelihoods of the people in every district will be strengthened under an SJB-led government. Meanwhile, another rally in support of Samagi Jana Sandhane's presidential candidate, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, was held in Kegol today.
කුරුණෑගල දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ ආසන 14ක
We will strengthen the livelihoods of the people who live in the 30 divisional secretariat divisions of the 14 electorates in the Kurunegala district through the government we form on the 21st. We will grant 20,000 rupees monthly for every impoverished family and we will free those people from poverty. We promise to protect the people of Kurunegala.
සමස්ත කුරුණෑගල දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ ජනතාවම රැකගන්නවාමයි.
Meanwhile, another rally in support of Samagi Jana Sandhane's presidential candidate, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, was held in Kegol today.
IMF වානා කියපු අණ්ඩ දිසානායක මහත්තයා
Anukumara Disanayaka, who once rejected International Monetary Fund, has now changed his statement. Sunil Handurnethi, who calls himself the Minister of Finance of the NPP, and the rest of their members have been embarrassed in front of the people. The public can see their true identity and that is the reality. Every village in this district has a problem. We discuss the human-monkey conflict. Once Sajith Premadasa is elected to office, we will make it a priority to bring solutions to address the human-monkey conflict.
ඔබතුමන්ලට කියන්න කැමති
මට ආරංචි අනුර කුමාර දිසානායක මහත්මයාත් මෙතන ඇවිල්ලා රැස්වීමක් කරාලු.
Recently, I heard that Anur Kumar Dissanayaka held an election rally in Kegal. However, he has come to the rally alone. President Ranil Wickremesinghe had not attended the rally. Both of them have a deal now. Their deal is to defeat me through any possible method. They are doing this because of their fear. They fear that I will work for the betterment of this country. I will give you a clear promise today. There are 9 electorates, 11 divisional secretariats and 12 local authorities in the Kegal district. My promise for you is that we will strengthen the lives of every individual across every village in this country. Not only that, we will bring an era of development to every town on the 21st and we will bring prosperity to Kegal district.
Now, presidential candidate and leader of the National People's Power, Anura Kumara Dissanayaka, stated that despite the misinformation and fear-mongering propagated by rivals in the presidential race, an NPP-led government is poised to rebuild the nation, which has been damaged by both past and current leaders. Addressing a rally today, Dissanayaka remarked that citizens feel regret for having supported successive governments in the past. He emphasised that an NPP government will be committed to restoring the trust of the people following victory in the upcoming election. An election campaign rally pledging support to the leader and presidential candidate of the National People's Power, Anura Kumara Dissanayaka, was held in Mawatagama today.
The slogan of the struggle was a society free of thieves, fraud and corruption. Is there a crime other than the ruling class stealing our hard-earned money? We have to change this corrupt political culture. We pledge to create a governance that protects public funds. We will ensure that our rule is theft-free.
මෙතෙක්කල් හැමදාම ආණ්ඩු හදලා ටික දවසක් යනකොට හිතෙනවා අනේ අපොයි වැරදුනා නේද මේ පාරච්චි.
Since the recent past, people believe that they committed the wrongdoing after voting for successive governments. When that is the case, we have no right to commit wrongdoing against the people. We pledge to protect the people's trust in us. Our assurance is that following the 21st of September, the people who voted for the parties should believe that they too could have voted for the MPP. Our governance should also track the people who voted for the parties.
දිනාගන්න ඡන්ද ව්‍යාපාරයක් අපි නේද ආණ්ඩුවක් අපි කරන්න ඕන.
Meanwhile, another rally of the NPP was held in Veerakatiya last evening.
The stage of Sajith Premadasa is being occupied to insinuate religious and racial tensions. Dissanayaka said that the Kandy Asala procession will come to an end under an NPP government. We will teach him a lesson to ensure that he will not make statements of that nature again. We have already sent him a letter of demand. We will take legal action against him. In 2015, he was under remand custody for a few months for preparing forged documents. However, he has not learnt a lesson. The election campaign has nothing to say other than insulting and spreading false information. Can Sajith Premadasa talk about rebuilding the nation? He is unable to talk about important issues of that nature. He said that he will enlist the support of 10,126 billionaires to develop the school system. He is unable to talk about education policies. If his name wasn't Premadasa, he is not suitable to be elected even to the Pradeshi Sabha in Walasmulla. Ranil Wickremesinghe says that the dollar will depreciate and there will be gas and fuel queues under an NPP government. The NPP is trying to secure the power to revive the country that was destroyed by Ranil Wickremesinghe and Sajith Premadasa.
Meanwhile, presidential candidate of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna Namal Rajapaksa says that the proposals in his policy manifesto are realistic and added that it is capable of ensuring that the country will move forward systematically. Addressing an SLPP gathering, Rajapaksa said that those who accuse his party of theft can file any lawsuit and added that they are ready to demonstrate their innocence.
A meeting organised by the supporters of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna in the Kolonnawa electorate was held in Kotikawat last evening.
එවිතරක්
If someone says that we have engaged in theft, I challenge them to file an action against us before a court in any country. We are ready to demonstrate our innocence. During the recent past, following the struggle, we were queried on whether we were afraid of elections. We are not, because we do not have blood on our hands. We have the self-confidence to appear before the people and ask them to vote for us. We will change the system, and no matter which government is in power, we will ensure that the country moves forward systematically.
Meanwhile, a rally organized to support Namal Rajapaksa's candidacy in the upcoming presidential election was held in Ratnapura today.
Even though Vijitha Hera says that his part will not devolve police and land powers as per the 13th Amendment, their election manifesto clearly states that they are ready to devolve power under the 13th Amendment. Fourth chapter of their manifesto mentions that Sri Lanka has to be a state without a religion. There is only one more day remaining for election campaigning. I challenge Harini Amasuriya to say that Sri Lanka is a Sinhala Buddhist country and that an NPP government will ensure that all religions are treated equally.
වෙන යුගය හදනවා කියලා කියන්නකෝ හරිනේ පුළුවන් නම් අද සමහර අය කියන්න හදනවා ඒ ආවම රුපියල් 20000 දෙනවා.
Some candidates say that they will provide 20 to 30,000 rupees following their election victory. However, the people know whether it is possible to fulfill these promises pledged. We were labelled as thieves. Without keeping our records on files, please conduct investigations against us. Some politicians say that they will secure the stolen assets once they come to power. All of you have heard fairy tales such as these. This is not an election to select the best comedian. Our policy manifesto has not mentioned anything that is impossible. Everything that we have proposed is realistic.
අපේ ප්‍රතිපත්ති ප්‍රකාශනය කරන්න බැරි වැඩ දීලා නැහැ අපි. අපි කියන්නේ කරන්න පුළුවන් ඒවා.
Meanwhile, Sarva Jana Bale presidential candidate Dilip Jayavira has pledged to ensure equality among all citizens through the introduction of a digitalized social security number system. Addressing a rally today, Jayavira further stated that other political parties have failed to deliver the changes that the public have requested. He asserted that only Sarva Jana Bale has a viable plan for the country.
A rally in support of the Sarva Jana Balaya candidate Dilip Jayavira was held in Yatiyantoda this morning.
සමගින් දොස්තර එස්.ඒ. වික්‍රමසිංහ මැතිතුමන්ට පුෂ්ප උපහාර දක්වන්නට අපි දිලිප් ජයවර්ධන මැතිතුමන්ට ඉතාමත් ගෞරවයෙන් යුතුව මේ මොහොතේදී ආරාධනා කරනවා. ඊයේ ඉලංගේ තමිල් අරසු කච්චි පක්ෂය වෙනම රටක් හදන්නව හදපු පක්ෂය.
During a media briefing held yesterday, leader of the Lanka Tamil Arasu Katchi, Mave Sentiraja, revealed their reason for backing Sajith Premadasa in the presidential election this year. The ITAC leader claims that following discussion with all presidential candidates, Sajith Premadasa was the only leader who gave them a favourable response which led them back to him. He revealed that Sajith Premadasa pledged to enforce the 13th Amendment to the Constitution and devolve police power to the Northern Provincial Council. Sajith Premadasa has even pledged to introduce the Federal Constitution for the country. We have already betrayed the country's war heroes if we are granting the request of the Tamil Leelam. Development is what required by the Tamil community in the north at the moment, not power devolution. The Sarva Jana Balaya will not let anyone betray this nation.
අපි මේ ජාතිය ඉදිරියේ ලබනවා මිත්‍රවරුනි. අපි ඉදිරිපත් කරා උපාය මාර්ගික වැඩපිළිවෙලක්. ඒ තුලින් එකින් එක කිව්වා ඔබේ ජීවිතේ වෙනස් වන විදිය.
We have introduced to the public a strategic plan which aims to enhance their lives. We have also included the way in which funds will be obtained to implement these initiatives. No one is opposing this strategic plan at the moment. They are unable to comment on this. We invited Honorable Kumara Disanayaka to join in a conversation with us in this regard without commenting on this at various platforms. However, no one, especially Honorable Kumara, ever appeared on the day of this debate. Why do those who claim to have a plan for the country's development dodge the chance to speak on their plan? Honorable Kumara was a Minister of Agriculture who held a lot of power. As proposed, we will make everyone equal through the introduction of a digitalized social security number. This will make everyone in the society equal. If the other candidates fail to provide the change requested by you, you can vote for the Sarva Jana Balaya.
This program is sponsored by
දැන් රුපියල් 280ට සිග්නල් ග්‍රෑම් 160ක් ලංකාවේ වාසිම මිලකට තියෙන පැක් එකක්.
And with that, let's take a look at more views expressed in the political arena ahead of the presidential election.
2005 ජනාධිපතිවරණ ආවහම අපි තීන්දුවක් ගත්තා රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහව ජනාධිපතිවරයා කරන එක පරාජයට පත් කරන්න ඕන. ඒ අනුව ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයෙන් ඉදිරිපත් කරපු අපේක්ෂකයා වන මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂට අපි සහාය ලබා දුන්නා. අපේ සමාජිකයා නොවන්නට ඒ වෙලාවේ රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ පරාජයට පත් කරන්න බෑ කියන එක ඔය හැමෝම දන්නවා. මීට අවුරුදු 19කට කලින් ඒ කැම්පේන් එක අපි කරපු විදිය, ඒකේ ප්‍රතිඵලය ගැන ජනතාව දන්නවනේ. අපි එකෙන් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහගේ දේශපාලන ගමනේ ජනාධිපති පරාජයට පත් කරන අපි එක්කලා.
හැබැයි අනුර කුමාර දිසානායකලා ඒ සත්කාරයට යන්තමින් හෝ දායක වුණා කියන කිසියම් හෝ ගෞරවයක් අපේ හිත්වල තියුණා. හැබැයි අනුර කුමාරගේ කතාවෙන් මට තේරුම් ගියේ එතුමන්ලා කරලා තියෙන්නේ දේශපාලන කාර්යයක් නෙමෙයි, පෝස්ටර් ගහන කුලී වැඩක් කරලා තියෙන්නේ කාලේ. සල්ලි වලට පෝස්ටර් ගැහිමක් කළා මිසක් එතුමන්ලා රට වෙනුවෙන් කටයුත්තක් කළා නෑ කියන කාරණේ ඔප්පු කරා. මට දැනගන්න ලැබිච්ච හැටියට එතුමාට මුදල් වලින් මේක දීලා තියෙනවා. නමුත් එතුමා තමන්ගේ පක්ෂයේ ගිනුමට ඒ මුදල් බැර කළා නැති කාරණේ තමයි අපිට නම් පෙනී යන්න තියෙන්නේ.
මෙන්න ජාතික ජනබලවේගයද අරණ ක්‍රමේම අරගෙන යන්න ඒගොල්ලෝ දියුරා පොරොන්දු දෙමින් ඉන්නවා. ඒගොල්ලෝ ජාත්‍යන්තර මුල්‍ය අරමුදල හමුවේ, ඉන්දියාව හමුවේ, ඇමරිකානු තානාපති කාර්යාලය හමුවේ ඔවුන් දියුරා පොරොන්දු වෙන්නේ කිසිදු ක්‍රම වෙනසක් නැහැ. අපි මේ පාරෙම ඉස්සරහට යනවා. ඒක තමයි ඔවුන් කියන්නේ. එදා බංකොලොත් වෙනකොට අපි හැමදෙනාම දන්නවා බංග්ලාදේශ අපිට US ඩොලර් මිලියන් 250ක් දෙනවා. නමුත් මේ රටට නායකයෙක් ලැබුණා. ඒ වැටිච්ච තැන ඉදිරියට නැගිටින්න පුළුවන් වුණා. නමුත් බංගලාදේශයේ මාස 4කට රට අරාජික තත්ත්වයක් ඇති වෙලා අද රට ගන්න දෙයක් නැති තත්ත්වයකට වැටලා තියෙනවා. මේක තමයි වෙනස.
සමස්ත රටේම සහෝදර ජනතාවගෙන් අපි ඉල්ලීමක් කරනවා 21 වෙනිදාට පාට කොඩි පැත්තකින් තියලා ජාතික කොඩිය අතටගත්තු සජිත් එක්ක එකට එකතු වෙන්න අනාගත ජාතික රාජ්‍ය ගොඩනැගීම සඳහා
Star Dishwasher Dally Tell ඉඳුල් පහසුවෙන් සේදේ. Star Dishwasher Magic Tub එක.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
චන්දරුසුමේ කාගෙන් බල අපේ සිග TV සඳහා සුපිරි ඩීල්.
Welcome back. Sri Lanka has awarded contracts worth 21 megawatts to 7 developers as part of the procurement of 165 megawatts of solar power by state-run Ceylon Electricity Board. Accordingly, the government approved the award of contracts to develop 4 solar power plants with a capacity of 10 megawatts as part of the Anuradhapura grid substation. Fenton Smart Facilities Limited won a deal for 3 megawatts, Haley's Fenton Limited a deal for 3 megawatts, Nanila Publication Private Limited 2 megawatts and Salex Renewable Private Limited 2 megawatts. At the Gold substation, Austral Solar Private Limited was awarded a contract to run a 1 megawatt solar plant. At the Deniaya Grid substation, Fortune Green Private Limited won a deal for a 3 megawatt power plant, while Solar One Asia Private Limited was awarded a contract for a 5 megawatt plant and Austral Solar Private Limited a contract for a 2 megawatt plant. Meanwhile, the government of Maldives' long-term local and foreign currency issuer ratings have been downgraded by Moody's ratings from CAA1 to CAA2. The rating agency revealed that the decision to downgrade is driven by its assessment that default risks have risen materially. While the government of the Maldives is working on securing external financing, comprehensive financing to meet sizable forthcoming maturities remains uncertain. Moody's Ratings has downgraded the government of Maldives' long-term local and foreign currency issuer ratings from CAA1 to CAA2 and placed the ratings under review for a possible further downgrade. In a statement, the rating agency added that they have also downgraded the long-term foreign currency-backed senior unsecured rating for Maldives Sukuk Issuance Limited to CAA2 from CAA1 and placed the rating under review for further downgrade. Moody's said that the decision to downgrade is driven by its assessment that default risks have risen materially as foreign exchange reserves, even inclusive of assets held in the Sovereign Development Fund, have remained low, with prospects for a sharp recovery relatively dim. The rating agency added that time for accumulation of foreign exchange resources is narrowing in light of significant external debt obligations coming due within the next 12 to 18 months. While the government of the Maldives is working on securing external financing, comprehensive financing to meet sizable forthcoming maturities remains uncertain, and at the same time large twin deficits compound pressures on reserves, while implementation of much needed fiscal reforms continues to see delays. Welcome back. Now, with 4 days remaining for one of the most crucial presidential elections in Sri Lanka's electoral history, Derana thought of educating the people on how to cast their vote properly. Due to the large number of candidates in the run-up to the presidential poll, there is speculation among the public and experts of a second count. With that being the case, it is important that electors be educated on how to cast a valid vote. Here's a report filed by Chamod Fernando of Derana.
On Saturday, the 21st of September 2024, the Election Commission of Sri Lanka will hold one of the most crucial elections in the country that will determine the country's executive leader for the next 5 years. Around 17.1 million people are eligible to vote at the upcoming presidential election. Most notably, the number includes around 1 million new voters. This is a crucial election for Sri Lanka, one that will see Sri Lankans voting to elect the 9th executive president, but also the first election that will be held following the economic crisis that affected the island in 2022, forcing the then president to resign. Political experts suggest a second count of preferential votes if the candidates fail to secure 50% of the votes. Although marking second and third preferential votes has not been the practice so far, it is important at this election to know how to mark your preferences accurately and make your vote count. Unlike previous presidential elections in Sri Lanka, 39 candidates are contesting the presidency this time. With that being the case, it is suggested that none of the candidates will be able to secure over 50% of the votes. In such situation, the preferential vote will play a crucial factor in determining the winner. Under Article 94(3) of the Constitution, it is determined that the second and third preferences of voters can be counted if the candidates fail to secure one half of the valid votes cast.
From 1982 up to now, the presidential elections, there was no any requirement in the past elections to consider second-third preference. From 1982 up to now, only one occasion there was a close fight between the two main candidates in 2005. But even that elections, the winning candidate has been able to get around 150,000 compared with the other candidate. But in these elections, there are several candidates. It seems they are getting fair number of votes in these elections. So in such a situation with these competitions, there can be a situations nobody will get 50 plus 1. According to the law, if someone get 50 plus 1, then he or she will get elected as a president. If not, the Elections Commission will proceed with the second and third preference. So therefore, it is important for people to mark their ballot as 1, 2, 3 if they really wanted to give their second, third preference. Still, traditionally, if you wanted to mark only one specific candidate, still you can use the cross as you did in the past.
With the right to vote guaranteed for each and every citizen by the law of the land, it is important to know how to cast a vote correctly on the ballot paper.
Do you know how to vote?
Yeah, I know how to vote.
Have you voted before?
No, I have not. I don't even give my elections at this moment, in this time also.
I know how to vote. First I go to the voting center and I have to give my finger and color and get a paper and first cross. And other thing is I can 1, 2, 3 for other suggestions.
I think this is the time we can select more candidates, and then this time is there are opportunities for the preferential vote systems. You can choose 1, 2, 3 candidates. If you're not selected one main candidates, you can select it for the preferential votes 1, 2, 3.
I have voted few times. Use your vote for a better change in Sri Lanka.
With my age, I have voted like 2-3 times before. It's actually a right of a person. We have to have a good idea about that and we have to vote.
It is necessary that the elector produce the national identity card or documents approved by the Election Commission, such as a valid passport, valid driving license, senior citizens identity card, government pensioners identity card issued to clergy, and the temporary identity card issued by the Election Commission through Grama Niladhari officers. It is advisable to carry the official poll card. When voting, the symbol cross or number 1 can be used if the vote is for a single candidate. If the voter wishes to mark preferences for 2 candidates, numbers 1 and 2 should be marked in the space provided in front of the specific candidate's name and symbol. If voting for 3 candidates, numbers 1, 2, 3 should be marked in front of the preferred candidates' names and symbols. Only then will the vote be considered valid. However, the vote will be invalid if the preference is for more than one candidate and if the symbol cross is marked in front of candidates. It is important to note that a cross cannot be marked on the voting sheet more than once. The vote will still be invalid if number 1 is marked for the first preference and cross marked for the second or third preference. The vote will also be invalid if symbols other than cross are used.
Everything is set to conduct the 9th presidential election of Sri Lanka. Therefore, it is so important how to understand how to vote in this critical election. For multiple choices, don't use the cross mark. It is always important to use number 1 and 2 or number 1, 2 and 3. For your most preferred candidate, please use number 1. For other candidates, to use your preferential votes, use number 2 or number 2 and 3.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of First at 9. Thank you for joining and have a good night.